Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinars, a part of AI in Project Management Hackathon, a series organized and collaboration with the Project Management Association. My name is Muhammad Ali Sheikh, and I will be your moderators for this session. It's my pleasure to introduce. And welcome Miss Iris, a digital transformation manager and project management professional holding several designated certificate, including PMP, PPA, and PMI, DASSM, with extensive experience in project planning, business analysis, and digital transformation. Today's session is titled AI-driven project planning and scheduling. During this webinars, we will explore how AI is transforming project planning and scheduling through predictive analytics, resources optimization, risk identification, and intelligent decision support, enabling organization to deliver projects more efficiently and effectively. Miss Iris, thank you for joining us today. We are delighted to have you with us and look forward to your valuable insight.
Thank you. Good evening from my side. Then I will take over. My name is Iris Meiner, and I will tell you a little bit about AI-driven project planning and scheduling, especially when it comes to the so-called critical path. And the challenge, what my hackathon group is Target Dynamics Assistant. And yeah, so I will give you some insights what we are doing and what it is about and what AI can do to help and assist project managers when it comes to project planning and scheduling. I say assist and help and support by purpose, not replacement. Yeah, I'm not a fan of AI replacing humans completely. Yeah, but I'm a big fan of AI support for humans. Yeah, like tools that we can use to make our daily life easier. This is the purpose for AI, in my opinion. So let's see what AI can do for us when it comes to scheduling. So this is a short overview about me as a person. We had already in the introduction that I'm a coach for AI and digital transformation. I'm 20 years now in AI. I graduated in computer science with focus on AI in 2006. I wrote my bachelor thesis about nature-inspired algorithms for AI applications, especially multi-agent systems. And I hold a master degree in computer science and an MBA in innovation management and entrepreneurship, which is very good because it bridges the gap between the business and the tech people. And I think this is something which you maybe will see a lot in my presentation, that this has a big influence in how I work. So I try always to bridge the gap between the tech and the business in both directions, by the way. So for today, we have a kind of flow in our webinar. So we would want to come from a program to a potential prototype. So in my opinion, it's really very crucial to understand the problem properly. Yeah, otherwise you will never find the right technology to assist you with solving this problem or even developing anything, a prototype or anything. If you have not got the problem, if you have not fully understand what is going on, your solution will never be as good as it could be, yeah, when you have fully understanding the problem. So this is why I talk a lot about the problems and what is still existing, even if we have a lot of digital tools already in project scheduling and calculating critical passes and so on. It's still an ongoing problem, yeah? Especially when it comes to critical path calculation, it's still challenging. It's still a lot of effort. And this is the reason why many project teams even don't do this effort, yeah? I'm a project manager since 20 years, and I can say that in my real projects, in my daily projects, I know that critical path is very helpful and you should track it and so on. But in my daily work, honestly, I'm not doing that for every project. Why? I do it if my client, which I'm working for, has a proper tool, then I'm doing critical path analysis, critical path tracking, critical path optimization, because then it's easy for me. But if I have to do all that stuff by hand, yeah, then this is something which I tend to skip. And I know that other project managers also do it because it's a lot of manual work if you don't have a proper tool which can assist you and support you. So this is a problem which is still existing and which is still something that is high priority for many project teams. So this is why we will look a little bit intensively into this problem. Then, of course, we will talk about the current and the desired state. We will think then a little bit about AI logic, what is it about, what we need to consider if we want to build a prototype. And then we will talk about data, because an AI prototype without suitable data is nothing. Yeah, you need data to run AI successfully. Otherwise, it's a waste of time, effort, and money. Yeah. So we will talk about data too. Then we will go into the expected outputs. So what should come out? And of course, the mentorship approach. And as you already see on the structure, of course, it is a presentation today, which is focusing in our AI hackathon, which is currently ongoing. But I think even if you're not participating in the hackathon, there's a lot of interesting content for you when it comes to project planning and scheduling, but also how AI can support humans on that. And what do you have to think about when it comes to data for such AI tools? So even if you're not participating in the hackathon, I think it's a very useful session. So let's deep dive a little bit into this problem of or challenge of project planning and scheduling. So schedule delays are very stressful for the business. They can have a very high impact on the business. There are different impacts on that. For example, the project costs, the labor costs, they can increase. They are going higher. As longer as the project will take, it will increase the costs for the project. So it's a cost factor. Yeah. For one time, what I have to pay, but also on the other hand, what I get. Yeah. Because, for example, if I try to develop a new product, and my project, which I want to bring on the market and sell on the market, every day I'm not on the market selling that project costs me money. Yeah. It's not so obvious, but there are costs. Yeah. And not only money, but also business benefits. Yeah. Maybe I'm in a race with my competitor who is first and bringing that product to the market. And then, it's more than just revenue that I will lose if my schedule is delayed. Then we have also contractual penalties. Yeah. In industry, it's often so if you're not delivering on time, you have to pay a penalty. Yeah, especially in manufacturing industry, this is very common. And on the other hand, it's damaging your reputation. Every missed commitment is a damage in your reputation. Yeah. Even if we are not going that far, let's say we are staying internal, we have negative impacts, for example, resource conflicts. Let's say you share some of your resources with other projects and your project get delayed. And at a time where the resource is planned for your project, you can't use it because you are behind your schedule. And then when you're ready and say, oh, I want to have this specific resource, then, yeah, sorry, resource is gone now. She's assigned to another project. You can't get the resource now because you're too late. Yeah, you missed the resource. Sometimes this happens. And it could be especially very bitter if you're having projects that are depending on a kind, what I say is a bottleneck. My manufacturing clients, sometimes they have this one department where all the products they develop needs to go through. Let's say the environmental test. For example, if you are producing electronic controllers, in the end, you have to do some environmental tests. That means you will look how these controllers will behave. If it's getting hot or cold or frozen, or if there are vibrations or whatever. So you have to simulate all these impacts on the controller. And there is usually a specific department which has a lab environment where you can simulate all these impacts. And every product needs to go to that testing, which means they need to go to that department. And if you miss your slot for getting these tests, then you have to wait until it's your turn again, because other projects are also there. They also need the tests. And it's very, very crucial that you don't miss your slot for that specific testing, because otherwise you maybe, if you have bad luck, you have to wait several weeks until you get the next slot. Yeah. So this is what we call a bottleneck department in manufacturing. So this is something which you don't want to get into. Yeah. So this is something which I would say also is a kind of resource conflict. And of course, you also create disruption on other projects if they are dependent on you, on your outcomes. Yeah. So this is also a negative effect, and also that customers, they're losing trust in you and your products if you cannot deliver on time. So there are a lot of many negative impacts which coming by delayed schedules. And sometimes, even if you are working long time as a project manager, we don't have these business impacts in our mind, because we just see our project and we don't think about a bottleneck department or what does it mean for the management if they are not on time on the market or anything. Yeah, but we should have this consequences of schedule delays always in our mind and give it right priority. So when we can say we are talking about the problem definition of schedule delays, we can say the schedule is not just a timeline which is delayed or on time. It's more kind of a decision model for your scope, your time, your resources, your risks, your commitments. Everything is dependent on the schedule. Yeah, your scope is dependent on the schedule. If you're delayed, you maybe can't deliver the full scope. You have to reduce the scope. The resources, we have already talked about resource conflicts, about bottleneck departments. Risks can increase, for example, if you are in a business which is depending on seasons because of weather and you get delayed. Yeah. So also there is a dependency. And also, of course, the commitments to your clients, your business partners, your suppliers, whatever. Yeah. So then we come now to what is called the critical path. And I brought a definition here and also some explanation, because I'm not sure that everybody is familiar what is a critical path. So when we talk about a critical path, we can say if we have a network diagram of our project schedule, which includes all the work packages of this schedule, then we can say the longest path from project start to project end, this is the critical path. And this comes because the activities on the critical path, usually they don't have no buffer. Yeah. So if one of these work packages on the critical path gets delayed, every work package which is following that work package on the critical path is usually also getting the same delay. Yeah. So every little postponement, every little delay on the critical path has a direct impact on all successor work packages. And this makes it sometimes a little bit complicated to calculate, especially when you want to calculate the impact of a delay on the other work packages, and you have a very large project schedule with several hundred work packages, and somewhere in the middle there is a delay, and then you have to calculate what will be the impact on all following work packages, and you have to do it by hand. It takes you a long time. Yeah. And unfortunately, you have to do the whole recalculation work with every little change. You have to do it by hand. If you don't have a tool which supports you, it will take you a lot of time. So I have here a very, very basic schedule plan, a network of work packages. It makes it look a little bit strange to you, but this is how I personally teach the critical path to my students. And what I do, I use a very simplified notation here to make it as easy as possible for them to learn how to calculate manually the critical path. Yeah, because I always say that they have to learn how to do it manually. Yeah, because then they are independent from tools, and then they can do it with all the tools because they will understand how it is going. Yeah, but first they have to learn manually. And what we have to do is we have to do a forward scheduling, which starts here at the project start and goes all the way till the end of the project. And if we are here with our calculation, we have to go all the way back and doing a backward scheduling too. And in the end, you should have a 0 here and a 0 here. Unfortunately, I can't explain all the calculation here at the moment because it would take too long. But what I can say for critical path calculation is what I need to do. I need to calculate all the work packages which are between the project start and the project end. And if I don't have a tool and I have probably, I don't know, 300, 500 or 1,000 work packages, it's nearly impossible to do it by hand. Yeah, this one is easy, yeah, because this one is very, very, very easy. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 work packages, easy. Yeah. The critical path, by the way, is here. You can see it here. This one has no buffer. This one has no buffer, and this one has no buffer. So the critical path will go from here to here to here to here. Yeah, this one has 7 days buffer. This one also has 7 days buffer, and this one has 5 days buffer. Here's a line missing. I just saw it here, so there's also a line here. So we see that here's a buffer and here's a buffer. So these work packages are not on the critical path, but this one, and this one, and this one are. And you see this is the longest chain, yeah, because you have a chain of 1, 2, 3, 4 work packages in a row. So just to do a little bit of refreshment for the critical path calculation, in case if you're not remembering for your PMP, this is how we are calculating critical paths in a very simple and abstract way explained. So, but you can imagine with many, many work packages, it's really complicated to calculate. And yeah, especially if there is not one delay, but maybe there are 2 delays in different areas, and then you have to calculate everything forward and then backward, and then you see where the buffers are. And honestly, the buffers are not so very visible. If you have a large network with a lot of work packages, it's not so easy to see where the buffers are than in this graphic where we just have 7. Yeah. And also we can't see the dependency complexity. And if we have hundreds or thousands of work packages which we have dependencies to each other, it's usually not so easy to see. Also, resource bottlenecks are very hard to see if you do it manually. And you can imagine if you calculate, oh, if this is delayed, I have this impact on my project end, and if this is delayed, this pass, then I have this impact. You can imagine if you calculate this all per hand, forwards, backwards, the next pass forwards, backwards, the next pass forwards, backwards, and then you have 3 possible passes and you have to make a decision which one is the best one. You can imagine this is a lot of time. So this is what we have as a problem at the moment. Yeah. And it increases if you have more than one project. If you have a multi-project environment, for example, a PMO, it's even more worse because we have these shared resource bottlenecks across the projects. It's not enough that you calculate the critical path for one project and track the critical path of one project. No, you have to do it for all your projects. And you have also cascading delays between dependent projects. That means if project A comes first and then B, and B is dependent on A, and A gets delayed, B gets delayed, and then B is maybe also, you have a dependency to a C project, and C then is also impacted, and you see that it goes like a cascade. Yeah. We don't have any program-wide or portfolio-wide schedule visibility when it comes to the critical path. This is really hard, yeah. And of course, there is a risk that your strategic milestones and benefits get delayed. And yeah, some people say, yeah, but my project is fine. I optimize my project and I just changed the schedule of my project. And if you're in a multi-project environment, this is nice that you are keeping up with your project. But if you're changing anything in your critical path, it has an impact on other projects which are with dependencies. So you can calculate the whole portfolio if it goes bad. So it is difficult. Yeah, critical path tracking in a multi-project environment is really a lot of effort if you don't have digital tools to support you. So honestly, this is the reason why in industry, if you don't have a tool which supports you on that, usually there is a low probability that you will do it manually. Yeah. And also when it comes to resource allocation, especially when you have shared resources, there's a lot of discussion, of course, also when you don't know the critical path. Okay, I think now the problem is well understood. You know why it is so important to get some AI support on project scheduling, because it will really make the life for PMO managers or also for project managers of very large projects or mega projects much easier if there would be an AI support on that. And also we have a kind of chain. The later we detect a delay, the more risky is the impact. Yeah. So it's better to discover delays as soon as possible so that you have a chance to react on time. And this is something what AI can help you. AI can monitor and track all these critical paths, especially if you have a multi-project environment. It can do the tracking for you, and it can raise an alarm and say, hey, there is a delay coming in one of your critical paths, and it has this and this and this impact. Yeah. So this is something which can help the project manager to do the right judgment, to select the right response. Yeah. And especially project planning and scheduling is a very, very good use case for AI support, because we have so much data, yeah, and we have so much calculation which is needed for the critical path. This is something where AI is strong, and it can help us a lot, yeah, to make these dependencies visible and to do simulations. Where is the impact if I have a delay here, or if I change anything here. Yeah, and the classical tools that we had that could calculate, for example, MS Project, Primavera, they helped us a lot with calculation of the critical path, but they could not run on real-time data. Yeah, and especially, for example, in industry, manufacturing industry, I do a lot with manufacturing industry. Real-time tracking, real-time data is key. Yeah, they are doing the analysis permanently again and again and again. It's based on real-time data. Yeah, the data is not 3 weeks old. It's maybe 20 minutes old. Yeah, so it needs to be recalculated permanently with this real-time data. And this is something which the classical digital tools were not able to do. So we can say a schedule can be mathematically correct, but if it's calculated, I don't know, 2 days before or 1 week before, then it's maybe already too weak to be something which helps me with my decisions. Yeah, because for many decisions, what I do, especially in the manufacturing industry, where we have a lot of decisions, they involve a lot of money, a high budget. We need real-time data, and we need to decision now on, and we have to make it on the data which is valid now, and not what is 10 days old or 2 weeks old or 2 days old. Yeah. Yeah, we can say from the current process, it is very high effort, but probably old data. So the current process is you have to update your schedule, usually manually. Then you have to run your calculations. Then you have to look what has the calculation brought you. And if you want to simulate something, we had to do it with manually calculations. Or what I did sometimes in MS Project was I copied my project, then I made a change, and then I looked how is the critical path looking here, and then I opened a several instance of MS Project and opened the old version, and then I compared manually. It sounds very strange, but yeah, this was how I worked in many years. Yeah. And it would be so much nicer if I press a button and this comes out by my own. Yeah. And then I have to think, when I have my simulation, then I have to think about my mitigation. And usually I have to do it per hand and have to think about, oh, what can I do? Yeah. And if I want to simulate several scenarios, usually I have to calculate them. Yeah. Also, I have to all calculate them manually and then compare. Yeah. As I said, copying a project and open 2 instances of MS Project, it was already cheating. It was not the way how it should have been done from the thinking at this time. Yeah. So when we don't have alternatives, when it takes too long to calculate this, usually you don't do it. Usually you're not calculating all the alternatives you have. You are calculating maybe 1 or 2, which is maybe not enough to find the best way to handle this and the best alternative way. And yeah. And where do we have this kind of challenge? I would say it's everywhere where you have projects and we have project plans. We have some industries where it's more heavily when it comes to construction and infrastructure. They are dependent on a lot of stakeholders. You have subcontractors, you have suppliers, your material has to be delivered in time and all that stuff. Yeah. They have usually very big projects with a lot of work packages, a lot of dependencies, very critical timelines. So yes, they are heavily impacted. IT and software delivery, yes, we are also doing a lot with critical paths. I have big software projects. They have only one go live date per year. And if we miss this go live date, then the project has to wait for 1 year. Yeah, no kidding. We had this, that some of my projects, they're so complicated. They can only go on live. We can only set them to productive use when there is a bunch of holidays in a row, maybe Christmas or maybe whatever. And especially if they're globally, then you only have this window per year. And if you miss it, you have to wait for 1 more year. Yeah, so usually you don't want to have delay here. And as I already mentioned, manufacturing and engineering, they have a lot of challenges which are time critical. So they're also a lot interested in calculating the critical path, tracking it, and so on. And as I said, in a multi-project environment like a PMO or portfolio, definitely you need to do this too. So what do we want? Yeah, because now we have to talk what we want to get rid of. What do we want now? What we want is something which is intelligent, which is adaptive, where I can do simulations, where I can do changes in a very easy way. Yeah. And where I can continuously see my critical paths when I just press a button. I want to press one button and my critical path should be there. And then I make a small change and say, what if this work packet will be delayed for 2 days? Calculate the impact. And then it shows me, oh yeah, this will be the impact. The critical path will change like this. You have these dependencies. This is your impact. You have these resource collisions. Wouldn't that be a dream? Yeah. So this is what we are dreaming of. The project managers who have to work a lot with the critical path. This is our dream. Yeah. We want to see what are the buffers doing with our projects. Is maybe a work package currently not on the critical path, but the buffer is going down, it's decreasing, and maybe it will be losing this buffer soon. So it will come to a critical path. So we can see also how are different possible mitigation scenarios. having an impact on the critical path. And also getting recommendations. What should we do with our schedules? How we can optimize them? How we can track them better? Yeah, and we don't want to have complicated formulas or things like that. We want to talk to them like we talk to ChatGPT. Very easy, natural language. This is what we want. Yeah. Good. So we want to go away from strict baselines and periodic updates, and we want to have instead live baseline, real-time data, scenario comparison. We don't want to have this calculation on demand. We want to have something which is continuously monitored, continuously calculated again and again and again based on real-time data, automatically calculated, by the way, not that I have to press always the button. It should do it by themselves. I don't want to have only a manual assessment opportunity when there is a delay. I want to have it automated. So there is a delay in one work package, fine. Update the whole schedule, please. Update all the work packages. Calculate everything. Show me the impact. This is what we want. This is our desired state. Yeah. We want to come back from mitigations where we need to run workshops for and to brainstorming to something which is delivered by an AI. Best case, ranked. Oh, this is your best option. This is the second best option, blah, blah, blah. This is what we want. Yeah. And the PM role should go away from creating, updating, interpreting, manually calculating to just validating, deciding, and communicating. Yeah, this is what we want. So this is the scenario we are aiming for. This is the relief that we want, the time-saving approach. Yeah, we want to make our life easier. And how can we do that? Yeah, I would say we need to find some schedule data and we want to put it to the AI engine, and then there should come an output, and the output should come alerts whenever something is happening, whenever it is needed, recommendations, an overview in lifetime. This is what we want. Yeah. So for the hackathon, now we are coming is what is in scope. The critical path and everything what is near critical path should be visualized. You should give us a delay impact simulation. So what happens if this work package is delayed? Show me the impact. And you should give me ideas how I can solve this situation, how I can mitigate this. Best case, prioritized. What we don't expect from you as a hackathon team is that you do an integration with MS Project, Primavera, or whatever. This is too complicated. There's no need for that. And also perfect forecasting models trained on real enterprise data. This is a little bit too much. Yeah, there's no need for that. I will give you an insight in data in a few minutes, but please, it doesn't have to be perfect and super duper forecasting. It would be great, but it's not what the world should aiming for. Yeah. And you should not do automated decisions without PM validation. Yeah. The human should be always in the loop. Keep the project manager in mind and think always about how you can make the life easier for project managers, PMO leads, program managers. Keep this in mind. You don't want to replace them. You want to make their life easier. This is the goal. Yeah. And now we have to come a little bit more technical because I should tell you also what kind of AI you need and what is the technical background to achieve all this. Yes. And then you have to think about, what kind of AI is there and what do we need and where should we go? So descriptive view says what is happening. So this is your current critical path, your current near critical tasks, and your buffer erosion. Yeah. So, and then from there, this is what you have. You want to come to a predictive view. What may happen next? This is a big question. Yeah. And it's a useful question because we said later we see what kind of delay is coming up or what challenge is coming up, desto harder is the impact and maybe also the cost. So we want to know upfront what may happen next. So what about the milestones? Yeah, will one of the milestones slip? Are the dates valid for the milestone? What is the downstream impact? Are there any risk hotspots hidden somewhere? So this one we want to have. And then there is another perspective, which is the prescriptive perspective. What should we put into our consideration? What should we consider? Different scenarios, different mitigation trade-offs, priority action, what we need, what is around of our project. Our project is not an island, yeah? There's a lot of things happening around. And when it comes to logic, AI logic, then there are different ways where you can go. I would go and start with the simplest thing, which is a rule-based engine. Yeah. I don't want to go to all these words on the right side. It's more focusing on the left side because we don't have the time for everything. But I would start with a rule-based engine and thinking about which rules we need and so on. And from there, we can come to a predictive layer. Yeah. There we can think about what impact analysis can we do and so on. And if you are familiar with your predictive layer, then you can think about a prescriptive layer. Yeah. Think about mitigation scenarios, for example, or trade-offs or whatever. And then if you have this achieved, then I would think about agentic. Yeah. What is the agentic assistant? Don't start with the agentic assistant. Yeah. Start with rule-based. Yeah, rule-based is not so much AI, by the way. Rule-based was something we did in IT a long time ago. Yeah. Then predictive, then prescriptive, and then agentic. Yeah, this would be the order I recommend to think about when it comes to your prototype. And for the data, we also have to think about data. If your prototype doesn't need to run on enterprise data, please never put any confidential data in your prototype for the hackathon. Yeah. Use synthetic data, use simpler things, but what we need is a task ID. What we need is a task name, a short description about your work package, a duration, which is the planned effort, the planned time. What you need is a predecessor, which means the dependency to the work package before. Start, finish. Yeah, you can go with a calculated dates or whatever. And progress, how much is already completed? Is it 100% complete, 50% complete, or status? Yeah. Resources, which roles do you need? Which equipments do you need? And is there a risk? Do we have already a known issue? Yeah. So do it really simple. Think about what tasks you need. How long do these tasks take? Think about the dependencies. First comes A, then comes B, then comes C. D and E can run in parallel. This is dependencies. Then finish your baseline and then think about what happens to your project schedule if there's a delay somewhere. Yeah. And of course, it would be great if you are going for your baseline, calculate your critical path. Yeah. If you do it by hand or with a tool, it doesn't matter. So, and where you can get the data, you can go real data. If you have data from a project which is not confidential, you can use that. But as I said, never put any confidential data in your prototype, please. Yeah. If you have something which is real, fine. You can go for synthetic data. Yeah, that means you can create your data in a synthetic way. Yeah. And you can also go for simulated scenarios where you think, okay, the AI should build a simulation and simulate data or something like that. Yeah. So I would say for the hackathon, what I would recommend, go for a synthetic schedule, make a baseline of that schedule, and then think about how you can simulate some disruption scenarios where you have delays. And then also think about assumptions or, what you can go. Yeah. Think about situations that could happen in projects and makes assumptions and then simulate your scenarios, what could happen to your schedule. I have to speed up a bit, I think. Yeah, look at your quality data. Yeah, think about a unique ID, check your dependencies. No dependency loops, no loops in your schedule, in your network schedule. What else is important? Milestones should be there. Yeah, and if you make any assumptions about your scenario, please document these assumptions. Yeah, what is the prediction you can get or expect from your system? You can, of course, think about what is the impact of a delay. Yeah, you can see which tasks have risks and there could be a high risk for delay, so you can track it more monitoring doing it on that. You can do forecasting. Yeah, so what is the expected completion date or completion range if the condition is changing like this and this and this? And how reliable are your milestones? Yeah, I was recently asked to define milestones for a project, but there was no substance where I could calculate the milestones. And I asked them, how should I do that? And they say, yeah, just define them. And I said, what should I do? Should I pin them on the wall and then go with an arrow and just go blindfolded and put there anything and then see where it landed, or what you're expecting? Yeah. So always think about what is the foundation that you have for forecasts. Yeah, it's a lot about the quality of your data. Yeah, and the assumptions you're making. Yeah. Always make it clear what assumptions you made and make them visible. So what can you get out as a recommendation for such systems is you can think about maybe you change the order of the tasks. Yeah, you change completely your passes, you reorder your tasks. That could easily bring the critical path to a change. The critical path is not critical anymore because we have changed something. Now we have a different critical path. You can also ask, okay, what would happen if I bring in more resources on that specific work package? What would be the impact on that? You can also think about if there are any buffers which you can use. You can also think about where I do have to escalate, where I need a decision maybe. Yeah. You can see trade-offs. Yeah, this is something where you can get out of the AI. But whatever you do, whatever you get out as a recommendation for the system, there is one rule. Whatever the AI delivers as a recommendation, it needs to be understandable by a human user. Yeah, if the user doesn't understand this because it's really weird, then it's not useful. So recommendations should be easily understandable for human users. Okay, come to the prototype. For the prototype, we expect you to deliver something. In my specific case here for the scheduling prototype, I would like to have a dashboard. I love dashboards where I see different things on one side in one dashboard. Very happy. I want to have different scenarios. I want to see a baseline schedule. I want to see a delayed schedule. And I want to see something where you did mitigation, optimization, or whatever. So at least 3 different scenarios you want to see. We want to see alerts for the delay, or that the buffer is running low or whatever. And we want to see some automated reports. This is the expectation that I, as a client, would have in my hackathon team. So for my hackathon team, I play the role of the client who has some requirements and some expectations. And very important is always to consider the human is in the loop. The AI supports, but the project manager makes the decision. Yeah. So no need for your prototype to make any decisions. The AI does it. Yeah. So if you do assumptions, show them your confidence level, provide explanation why a specific task is critical, say what is a fact, what is a forecast, what is a prediction, make it clear, yeah. Highlight if you have any issues with your data quality, yeah. Say that, okay, I have calculated that, but the data was not the best because we have these and these limitations, yeah. And always go for human validation, for recommendations, for decisions. Always humans should be in the loop. Yeah. Technology choices. What should you do? You can do different things. I don't want to interfere so much in the technology because for me, technology is something that the person should choose who delivers something. Yeah, here the computer scientist came through. So I don't want that somebody dictates me how to solve something. So I don't do this with my team. Yeah, so usually my team can solve the issues how they want. I don't dictate them how to do that. And I keep the same mindset in the hackathon. I don't tell you which technologies you should use. Yeah, you have an overview here, what you can choose from, but it's your choice. It's not my choice. Yeah, as I say, I go here from client role. Yeah, not from solution architect role or whatever. So, what is the success criteria? Your prototype needs to solve the problem. He needs to add some value on this critical path scheduling topic. We have discussed a lot. What is the problem? It must be clear how you are dealing with inputs and what comes out. And also, it needs to explain the recommendations, why you are making that recommendation. Yeah. It should be correct when it comes to analytical analysis, and it should be good from the usability. Yeah. I'm a person who is really looking a lot in usability because I think that a software that is not user friendly is something that is not used by people. If somebody hates the software, the people are not using it. Yeah. So usability is a topic. So how is on the mentorship approach? Yeah, we are doing the following. We have a WhatsApp group, which you usually use to communication with your colleagues or with me. Then we have weekly checkpoints. That means we meet every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Riyadh time. We are meeting. And we're doing usually a full hour where we're looking on what is the prototype doing, because the group has already a prototype. So we are looking what is evolving, where they need feedback. And as I said, I give always the feedback from a client perspective. That means we have review sessions and you get a honesty industry feedback from client perspective. That means zero sugarcoating. So you get the feedback how it is, how your prototype looks like, yeah, and it's not sugar coated. Yeah. So we have a realistic environment here. So let me go a little bit over the takeaways. You should always think about what is your pain point for the schedules. And then you should go for the CPM, the critical path method, as the methodology which lays down below your prototype. So this is the methodology your prototype should follow in the project methodology. And then add AI where it makes sense. Yeah, where it makes the life easier for the project manager or the PMO lead or the program manager. And think about giving back outputs that make decisions easier, that deliver input to make really good decisions. Yeah. And keep it easy, keep it nice and easy readable and easy to understand. Don't put too many data out. Yeah. And always think about the project manager is in the center. You're doing it for the project manager or the PMO lead. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I had to present. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Iris, for this insightful and engaging session. Your perspective on AI driven planning and scheduling, resource optimization, and predictive project management have provided valuable knowledge and practical takeaways for our audience. We are now opening the floor for your questions. Please raise your hand or write your question in the chat to answer it with Miss Cyrus. Mr. Muaz, he is asking, P6 doesn't help on case of calculating uh, the CPM.
Mhm. It's a
Yeah,
methodology, and it helps a lot with calculation, but it's a lot of effort. Yeah, because usually the projects were smaller when this methodology was invented. The projects were much smaller, the most of them. So the calculations really in the beginning they were done by hand, and then we had simple software systems who calculated at one time. So you had your critical path, you made a baseline, and then maybe 3 months later you calculated again. So it was very simple at this time. Yeah, it was not planned to do anything in real time. Does that answer your question?
thank you, Miss Iris. We have another question. What about the ethics regarding the input of the inputs as real data? Are our data safe?
Yeah, data security is another point. And I would say, yes, you have to discuss this with your infrastructure team, how you can save your data. And for the prototype, yes, it would be great if you can mention what you think about data security. If you have measurements in place, it would be great. Yeah. For real life scenarios, of course, this is something which you have to discuss with your infrastructure team. It depends on what kind of data you're having. And what kind of real-time data you're having. Yeah, real-time data is also a huge field. You can have a lot of different information in it. So I would always say it depends on the data and how protective it is. Yeah, how vulnerable it is, and how much protection do you need for the data. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Miss Iris. I think we reach our end of this session. On behalf of the Project Management Association, we sincerely thanks you for sharing your expertise and experience with us today. We would like also to thank all the attendees for their participation and engaging through this session. We hope today this discussion has inspired new ideas on how AI can enhance project planning, improve predictability, and drive better project outcomes. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you in our upcoming webinars and events. Have a wonderful evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening.